Hello and happy Friday, and welcome to the Fredericksburg Standard Radio Post News Broadcast. I am Sam Sutton, joined by Rachel King, our summer intern, Reed Graff, our sports editor, and a reporter, Brent Burgess. I have to say we are filming this a second time because we filmed this yesterday afternoon and realized that the battery had died on the camera, so this is take two. And a funny part in the first one was Reed was playing with this ball he found in the supply room and dropped it and made a funny face, and now he'll have to do it again at some point. So, anyways,
we need a funny face today, Reed.
We do need the funny face. Anyways, to get started, we do have Rachel King on this week's broadcast, and I brought her on to kind of talk a little bit about the visitor guide that she and our other intern, Roese Griffin, are working on, as well as another feature she's working on. So first, do you want to talk to us a little bit about the visitor guide?
Yeah, for sure. Reese and I, we've been kind of doing some research on things going on around town this fall and winter, and working on that, writing some stories about that. Features-wise for the Visitor's Guide, we're writing a little bit about murals around town and the ghost tours and like historic buildings around town that have upstairs that we haven't, that lots of people don't know about. So that's pretty interesting. And then for this coming week's paper, I'm writing a little feature about Evelyn Paisley, the Director of Transportation for FISD. She's been there for 37 years, and so writing a little bit about her and kind of giving her a little bit of a spotlight this week. So
awesome. And yeah, so that visitor guide typically comes out in September, and so keep a lookout for that. And businesses, if you would like to advertise in that, you can still get yourself an ad in there. And if you contact Kim, Kim at Fredericksburgstandard.com, she can hook you up and get you a nice ad to promote yourself in a visitor guide that really typically draws in a lot of viewers. I mean, we put them out on newsstands all over Main Street, and half of them are gone after the first couple of days. So especially this fall-winter one, because it's got info on Oktoberfest, and she's going to have a whole lot of new info, she and Reese are, so definitely check that out. The next thing I want to talk about is the 4th of July. As you can see, it's the number one thing on page one of our paper this week. A lot of events happening starting tomorrow with the community dance that Brent will be out at. And there's going to be a lot of events also on Monday, starting with the Kitty Parade at 8:30 a.m. The Community 4th of July Parade starts at 10 a.m. If you can't watch that, FBG Live will be live streaming that, so we'll have that as well. Several other events, including a post-parade program on market plots with the Bill Smallwood Band playing, so that'll be a lot of fun. The one thing that will not be happening this year is the fireworks. Well, I can't say that. It's going to be postponed. They don't know when yet. It'll be within the next 6 months, but they had to not do it because of the dry conditions we've been experiencing, as well as the lack of staff to be able to stay out there without having to go on calls by fire and EMS. So all that information is in this week's newspaper on page 1. So check that out. And talking a little bit about the dry conditions, we'll go into the burn ban that was increased, I guess, or extended by the Gillespie County Commissioners. Brent, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. On Monday, the county commissioners had their regular meeting, and they did extend the burn ban. We'd been in a burn ban. When they initiate a burn ban the way that they have, there's two ways they can order a burn ban. One is this process of jumping through hoops with the National Weather Service, but as county commissioners, they can just put in an order for a 90-day maximum burn ban through the county as well, and that's what they did. So we'd expired the first one, and they just extended without any debate because there was no reason to debate the issue. It's obviously been dry and hot, and so they're extending it for another 90 days, and that will prohibit any open burning up to a $500 fine. So I think that's something that, ought to take it seriously, So you can still burn in approved closed containers, so charcoal grills, anything that completely covers flames and embers, that's okay. But yeah, we're in this up to 90 days. They can revoke it if we get some rains, they can revoke it, but it doesn't look that way in the forecast right now. So.
And actually, that leads me to another thing that I wanted to talk about. I had an interview with City Manager Clinton Bailey yesterday about the budget, but he also told me, sidebar, at the upcoming Tuesday City Council meeting, they are possibly going to be going up to the Stage 4 watering restrictions. And so he said it was okay for me to talk about this right now. So he just told me, just to let people know that could be happening in the near future. Water's low. There's a drought. There's a lot of dry weather. So conserve water and don't burn anything on the 4th of July. So next thing I want to talk about is the FISD budget. The Fredericksburg Independent School District Board of Trustees approved the new budget for fiscal year 2022-2023 this year. This last week at a Monday meeting, Lauren Guzzi, our intern, was at that meeting, but she is on vacation in Europe until July the 15th. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit for her. So they did approve the budget. They did not approve a property tax rate because they have to wait until August or September to do that. But they expect if their actual values stay close to their preliminary values, they expect to decrease the tax rate by 1.74 cents. So not set in stone yet, but it's a possibility. So keep a lookout on our coverage for that, and read all about this year's budget on page 1 of the newspaper. Starts right over here. The next thing I want to talk about, another story of hers, was teacher shortages. All the districts and not all the districts, a lot of the districts in town are having trouble finding teachers, like FISD, Heritage School is having some issues, and I did read that Harper is actually doing okay, thankfully, but FISD and Heritage are having a little bit of trouble, and it's really kind of because of the high demand on teachers nowadays about what they have to do, and just higher workloads from COVID and things like that, on top of the low salaries and high cost of living here in town. So all of those are playing a factor in school districts finding teachers. FISD said they are looking into alternative ways to filling those roles. And so again, that also starts on page 1 right under this story. So check that out. Next thing I want to talk about is sports.
Yeah, pretty busy week. We had the lead story this week was Harper football. We talked to 2 quarterbacks, a former and a soon-to-be. Braden Strickland, currently, he started over 40 games for Harper in 4 years. Started off all 4 years of his career and, left behind a legacy there at Harper that they're going to have to replace. And, Braden's one of my favorites, and since I've been here in Fredericksburg, and I got to cover him his senior year. And while I only covered him 1 year, he's a special kid. And so it was cool to kind of talk with Braden one last time and kind of send him off. And then with his departure leaves a big hole, because that's 40 plus games of experience at quarterback you now have to replace. And junior Bryson Lake is stepping into that role, and Coach Chad Zinner has not been afraid to put that pressure on him. And this article talks a little bit about how he's handling that. And Chad Zinner, of course, you can hear some quotes from Chad, you hear quotes from Braden, and then, of course, from Bryson and how he's stepping into that role. So that's kind of our lead story. We also had a story on Harper 7-on-7. Longhorns went 7-0 in action in Ingram, so good for them, and a little bit of conversation about that. And the Fred girls basketball team, which had such a good year, they competed at LCU, Lubbock Christian. They competed at their team camp, and according to Coach Kerry Grona, they were the only team that had their entire team competing in both the team camp and the individual positions camp all week long. So the girls got all the way to the state semifinals last year, and they are putting in the work to get even further. So excited for them. This upcoming week, I recently talked to Andrew Kendrick. A lot of the Fredericksburg locals will know that name. Was a very accomplished runner in Fredericksburg High School cross country and track, and graduated a year ago, and he is currently running at Butler University. And had a good conversation with him about how he's transitioning to collegiate athletics and kind of continuing that series I've been doing of just talking to former players and seeing how they're doing. And Andrew was a good kid, so keep an eye out for that story. That'll be a fun one. I also finally got to talk to Tim Shipman. He's finally back in town, Heritage Athletic Director, and got to do the wrap up the State of Gillespie County series with him. And he's just a good guy, and had a great 30-minute conversation with him. It's actually already live on our podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere you get your podcast, you can listen to that, and it's live right now. So go tune into that and watch out for the Q&A version in our paper next week. So then a couple other smaller things. We got Ladies Golf Association results in this upcoming paper, and it's just some smaller things. And
small but important.
Yeah, of course. And, Little Billy's football camp coming up, and so a lot of good stuff. So definitely pick up next week's paper and check out my sports.
Sounds good. The last thing I wanted to tease was our Blue Ribbon Summer Gillespie County Fair catalog, which came out this week, just in time for the newspaper, and so pick that up. It was a lot of fun for me to work on, and so specifically because I wrote this story about Camry Weinheimer, and she was the 125th Gillespie County Fair Queen. She actually had passed away in May of cancer, and so having someone in my family really close who's been battling cancer, it was important for me to tell that story and to make sure people know who she is and how important she was, not only to the community but to her family and friends and even the San Angelo community when she went to Angelo State and when she taught at Central High School. So it was really fun for me to tell that story, and kind of heartwarming and nice to talk to the family. So check that out. It's on page 6 and 7 of that.
Highly recommend it. And kind of staying on the sports side, she was a great softball player. She was playing softball at Angelo State, and something that I didn't know until recently, until the softball did their awards, is they now have the Camry Weinheimer Award, which went to Ashley Dressen this year. And it's a great article by you, kind of telling the story of a young athlete that we lost too soon. So
yeah. So check that out, and it's also got obviously information about the horse races that are starting this weekend that Reed will be out covering.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. We'll have horse race results. Yeah. Sorry.
So it's got a lot of good information in there about the upcoming fair, which will be August 25th through 28th. I think that's all that we got this week. Again, my name is Sam Sutton. I'm joined by Rachel King, Reed Graff, and Brent Burgess. Take 2.